Please proceed with caution. This is the only content warning in the video, and topics range from the bizarre to the downright evil. Specific trigger warnings are not provided throughout. This video will go into detail about Season 12 Delicate of American Horror Story, as well as the AHS spinoff American Horror Stories 3 seasons. As the conclusion to the 3-part video series, I'll also be going through what my ranking for the seasons before and after this rewatch are. Delicate, the most recent season of the show, premiered last September and is yet to finish. At the same time that new seasons of AHS have come out, the spin-off AHS Stories has dropped seasons as well. Season 1 of the show premiered in July 2021, the summer before Double Feature. Season 2 premiered in July 2022, the summer before NYC. And Season 3, which dropped all on October 26, 2023, shortly after the mid-season finale of Delicate on October 18, 2023. Delicate is set to come back with the 6th episode on April 3rd, 2024, and conclude with a total of 9 episodes and a season finale coming out around April 24th, 2024. From this point on, the video will contain spoilers for American Horror Story, including the most recent season, Delicate, based on the book Delicate Condition by Danielle Valentine, that came out the same year on August 1st. Starring Kim Kardashian and co-created by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk, 4 people super involved in the writing and directing of the already released episodes: Jessica Yu, a seasoned director of film and TV, Hallie Pfeiffer, an award-winning playwright and writer of every episode of the season, Jennifer Lynch, who has directed 8 episodes of the show in total, and John J. Gray, a director who had his start working with Tim Minear and is an executive producer of AHS. When the season begins, we meet our main character, played by Emma Roberts, Anna Victoria Alcott, an actress who's in the start of her big break. Just as she's getting this big break in her career, her and her husband, who's inherited his wealth, Dex, are making their 3rd attempt at IVF conception. Anna's publicist is also introduced early on, Siobhan Corbin, Kim Kardashian's debut AHS character. Siobhan is on the other side of her own IVF journey, which ended in disappointment for her and a greater motivation for success. A little on the lighter side, Season 12 features 4 AHS staple actors: Emma Roberts, as previously mentioned, Billy Lord as Ashley, one part of a duo of badass publicists, Leslie Grothman and as Ashley, the other part of the publicist duo that works with Siobhan to elevate her clients, and Dennis O'Hare as Dr. Andrew Hill, the practitioner that Anna and her husband are using for their IVF treatments. Dr. Andrew Hill is also a main character in Delicate alongside Anna, Dex Harding Jr., Anna's husband, and Siobhan. Other main characters include Sonia Shawcross, an artist that Dex works with, Nicolette, the house manager of the home Anna and Dex stay in to escape NYC, Miss Preacher, a woman who works with and for the IVF clinic, Ivy, a mysterious woman stalking and warning Anna, Kamal, the bodyguard hired to protect Anna, and Adeline Harding, Dex's first wife who is now deceased. Recurring and guest characters of the season are Talia Baldwin, a wealthy friend of Dex's and Anna's, Cora, an employee at the clinic, Hamish, another ruthless publicist who Siobhan is seeing, Babette Eno, a rising young star posing as a threat to Anna, Virginia Harding, Dex's overbearing mom, who is suing his father, Dexter Harding Sr., whom we have yet to meet. Ashley and Ashley, as mentioned before, are also recurring and guest characters alongside some characters credited but that have not appeared yet in the episodes, like Tommy Dorfman and Theo. The setting hasn't necessarily played a huge role in the story aside from the careers, calling for a big city that has a more remote location nearby where wealthy residents can escape to. In general, the setting is New York, but more specifically New York City and the Hamptons Beach. When in NYC, characters are usually at Siobhan's office overlooking the city. Anna and Dex's luxury penthouse apartment, fine dining restaurants, art galleries, and film award shows. So far, the season has taken place within the span of a few weeks around the award season. All of the on-the-book IVF treatments occur in the Riverside Fertility Clinic in NYC, and it's just one of the many places that the owl-costumed women appear. The mysterious cult or coven of women shows up down dark alleyways, in the nighttime forest at the Hamptons, on the beach, and even flashbacks to 1555 at Mary I's birth to a demon baby in England. Just taking US viewers by episode into account, Delicate's premiere beat its predecessor season, NYC, by a small margin. Like most AHS seasons, Delicate is following a downward trend with spikes surrounding big episodes. Something of note, however, is that only one of the 5 episodes out now has had lower viewership than NYC, and with good reviews, Delicate has a chance to pick that trend back up for the final 4 episodes. Granted, good is relative, and for American Horror Story recent standards, this season is performing pretty darn well. Metacritic, a website that collects reviews and averages them, has Delicate at 57%, as well as generally favorable based on user score. In contrast, NYC is slightly unfavorable for the same metric, and Double Feature is listed as mixed. On Rotten Tomatoes, Delicate has a tomato meter of 77% based on 13 reviews, and on audience score of 71% based on over 500 reviews. This is a vast improvement on the audience reception to NYC, which is rated at 41%, and Double Feature, which is at 51%, both regarded as knocked over popcorn. Based on the reviews of the current episodes, IMDb users have rated Delicate around 61%, with Part 2 of Double Feature probably around 40% at most, and NYC at about 60% also. Part 2 of Delicate is premiering on April 3rd, and the first episode, Opening Night, is directed by AHS regular Bradley Bucher. Not a lot of news about the later episodes yet, but I'm excited Part 2 is starting off with someone who's directed some of my favorite episodes. So far, I think the concept is great, it's extremely top of mind subject matter, and I will always be a sucker for anything even remotely witchy, which this definitely is. Despite this being a season not about politics like Season 7 Cult, it's accidentally political due to the timing and the subject matter. Not only are reproductive rights a huge issue both inside and outside the election cycle in the post-Roe era, but this season also premiered and became affected by the labor strikes of 2023, specifically that of SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild. Although the Writers Guild of America, or commonly known as WAG, and the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, commonly referred to as SAG-AFTRA, are not the only two unions or even industries to go on strike, they had a huge impact on Season 12 of AHS. Production got indefinitely delayed and split the season into two parts. This, to the outside world, is reproductive health care and pregnancy in general, which are topics of much conversation in America following the June 24, 2022 Supreme Court ruling in the overturned Roe v. Wade, the federal ruling that protected the right to abortion in the U.S. since 1973. According to Planned Parenthood's Planned Parenthood Action Fund site about the overturning of Roe, 1 in 3 women now live in states where abortion is not accessible, citing 18 states that banned or restricted abortion within a few months of the ruling. The ruling is not only controversial but a hot-button topic. A Reuters article posted December 14, 2023 titled How Abortion Could Impact the 2024 U.S. Elections by Joseph Axe claimed some 70% of Americans said protecting abortion access in their state would be an important issue in determining their vote in November. Now, almost 2 years from the ruling, it's clear that a majority of Americans support the right to abortion, enshrining protections into law whenever given the opportunity to vote on it in states like Ohio. Of course, the support varies along a wide range of stipulations, specifically like weeks and nature of the pregnancy. As horrifying real-life tales of pain and suffering emerge in states, it's obvious that the combination of courts and voters is making for confusing and scary circumstances. Delicate picks up right in the middle of it, centering around a mysterious IVF clinic and focusing heavily on the emotional impacts of reproductive health care and fertility. At the same time that new seasons of AHS have come out, the spin-off, AHS Stories, has dropped seasons. Season 1 of Stories premiered July 15, 2021, created by Murphy and Falchuk as a FX on Hulu show. As the first season of the spin-off, they visited Murder House for 3 of the 7 episodes. Although the franchise began with American Horror Story, that is not the only type of story that creators wanted to tell. The entire franchise of shows, which now includes American Crime Story, American Sports Story, and rumored shows like American Love Story, all considered part of the American Story franchise. The first season is comprised of 7 episodes and 5.5 stories. As mentioned, the first 2 take place in Murder House, as well as the last episode. The episodes in between, however, also take place in Los Angeles or LA-like and near locations. The only actors that appear in more than 2 episodes are the Girl Squad from Rubber Woman Part 1 and 2, that made up of Paris Jackson playing Maya, Selena Sloan playing Erin, Valerie Liu playing Nicole, and Ashley Carter playing Rowena. In addition to the friend group that Marin Dungay plays Dr. Andy Grant, psychiatrist turned murder house ghost, and Scarlett, the protagonist for both Part 1 and 2, and a recurring character in the final episode, are also actors that appear in more than 2 episodes of American Horror Stories. Rubber Woman Part 1 and 2 is all about the newest murder house residents. Soon after moving, Scarlett finds herself with the attention of mean girls at her school, who set out to do a homophobic prank on her. This kicks off Scarlett's descent into the dark side. The second episode, things get even wackier when the ghost of a teen girl, Ruby, and Scarlett fall in love, and Ruby goes to extreme lengths to keep Scarlett at the house, including murdering her father. Looking ahead to the end of the season while we're talking about Murder House, episode 7, a video game designer, Michelle, goes to Murder House on Halloween to research her current project and is killed by the ghost there. After spending a year trapped there, she finds her son the next Halloween and tells him what happened. Her son, Rory, resolves to burn the house down and proceeds to do so with the help from ghosts on the property that wish to be free. The episode flashes forward a few years, and Scarlett has now purchased one of the condos that has been built atop the former murder house. She explains that she spent the last few years making money as an assassin, and after moving in, Scarlet is happy to find that Ruby's still there, informing her that the other ghosts pieced out. But psych, this ending has just been a playthrough of the video game. The third return to Murder House that season alone, coupled with the video game plots and flash forward at the end. This episode is the most gimmicky. Episode 3, Drive-In, can be summed up by the phrase zombie drive-in, because it doesn't get much deeper than that. Banned legendary movie Rabbit Rabbit is playing at the drive-in and everyone will be there. All is well until it isn't, and the movie turns watchers into crazed monsters to ragefully tearing any passerby. At the end, our teen couple destroys any copies of the film, until it ends up on Netflix, of course, and pans to the LA skyline on fire, which AHS lets. The naughty list is also exactly what it sounds like. People who are deemed naughty, or by a crazed Santa costume-wearing serial killer, get brutally attacked. We follow a group of influencers that live up to every negative stereotype about the LA influencer lifestyle, and more than slightly catch the ire of the killer. After several rounds of being cancelled, the influencer's house of friends is hunted down in gnarly fashion, decked out with Christmas decor. Aside from the Murder House episodes, this is one that I feel stands on its own. It's also extremely topical, following Liv Whitley, who uses a totem she received from a fertility clinic in order to become pregnant. In an unexpected twist, Liv ends up committed to an asylum, only to discover her husband set her up. Unfortunately for the hubby and his heist group, the ritual they made Liv perform was real and did summon Baal to do her bidding, which is now to seek revenge on them, which he does. This one captures the things I love about AHS, twists that are so clever they're almost cheeky, paired with fabulous set design, costumes match, and A1 performances. Billy Lord is an AHS regular now. Episode 6, Feral, is about a missing boy whose parents believe they have found him 10 years later, only to be lured into the forest under false pretenses. Wild humans now hunt the group, who attempt to hide out in a park ranger lookout who informs them of the government's creation of the National Park Service as a place for what they consider a subpopulation of cannibals. They essentially get the park ranger taken out by the feral people and are captured by them, and their son, who's now older and more feral, is the leader of this group of cannibals. Not only is he the leader, but he directs them to eat his parents, wiping blood from his face to lick it off his finger before the episode ends. I didn't really recall this one before, and it's still one that I have to be reminded of to fully remember and appreciate. When I look at the components and the story, it makes sense and is good, but something feels off about the episode itself. One thing I do notice outright is the pacing being off. Somehow the normal length episode feels like it drags on when the story wanders into being too obvious. This season has the most AHS actor appearances, with Matt Bomer, Naomi Grossman, John Carroll Lynch, Billy Lord, Cody Fern, Dylan McDermott, and Jamie Brewer playing new and legendary characters like Addie Langdon. A handful of big celebrities also join AHS regulars like Danny Trejo as Santa, Vanessa Williams as Dr. Eleanor Berger, and Noah Cyrus as Connie to ring in the new spin-off in style. All of the episodes this season are written by Murphy and Falchuk to some capacity, sometimes credited alongside a third writer. Lonnie Peristier, however, is the only director who directs more than one episode in the season. After rewatching a few episodes, some more than once, the 3 that are a connected story I think are fun, if not a little too fantastical. Baal and Feral are good AHS stories, what I would expect from the series and what I personally tuned in for. And then there's Drive-In and the Naughty List, which are fine for what they are, but are so boring to watch. I found it hard to stay focused on, definitely not my cup of tea. Season 2 of AHS came out in 2022, and is, in my opinion, the best overall season of this spinoff. This season has the most consistently good episodes and is able to make bite-sized stories that both question reality, in a Black Mirror sort of way, and spook audiences. We are treated to performances by series regulars Dennis O'Hare as Mr. Van Wert in episode 1, Gaborni Sidibe in episode 2, and Cody Fern in episode 4. Following but exceeding tradition this season with celebrity roles, we have Max Greenfield in episode 2, Bella Thorne in episode 3, Judith Light in episode 6, and Alicia Silverstone in episode 8. All of the season 2 episodes came out in 2022, starting with Dollhouse on July 21st, and then one a week through September 8th in the order. Episode 2, Aura, episode 3, Drive, episode 4, Milkmaids, episode 5, Bloody Mary, episode 6, Facelift, episode 7, Necro, and episode 8, Late. Murphy and Falchuk are credited as writers on every episode this season, with different directors for each episode. I think this shows throughout the stories, as the stories all have very different atmosphere and direction, but a similar vibe. Like the meme that it's the same person in a different font. It's AHS, but through different lenses. Dennis O'Hare gives a creepy, unhinged performance as future Spaulding's father, who aims to replace his mother, whom he murdered for cheating on him, with a real-life doll. He's managed to make it even worse by abducting unsuspecting potential employees from his doll factory to audition for the role of replacement mother, half doll, half human. The tests are various housekeeping tasks, but it's only supposed to be done like this type of way. He rigorously critiques their performances, and if they fail, he eliminates them from the running and in general. This episode concludes with the main character being rescued by a fellow witch, the witches who came to rescue her taking the man's son, now an orphan as well. We find out that the young boy is actually Spaulding from Season 3 Coven. I like that this is actually a prequel to a different character and is more interconnected to AHS than we originally think. Episode 2, Aura, is Gaborni's leading story, tech gone wrong supernatural thriller about a doorbell camera becoming a welcoming portal for ghosts rather than the death deterrent it's intended to be. The ghosts are particularly attracted to unfinished business in a what lies beneath warning kind of way when it comes to Gaborni's character's husband. This one is a campy version of Black Mirror, not taking itself as seriously while simultaneously commenting on 5 additional subject matters in a nuanced way. This is another that has the pacing of a season or full AHS story, but built into the story's format like Baal. A red herring fake-out episode, Drive, the third in the season, is about a woman who has a very modern, young and married in LA relationship. It's open. Open to her picking up strangers at the club, open to her hooking up with random strangers in her car, and even open to her abducting some of those strangers to take back to her mansion and torture. Obviously, her husband plays his part in her hobby as well by cleaning up after, but by the end it's a mutual pastime, and their favorite joint victim is Marcy's friend from the clubs. As long as I look away during a few particular scenes, this goes from feeling like a joke to being a really serious, intense tale of hysteria similar to the witch trials in both accusation and targets of those accusations. It's interesting and engaging how modern-day scientific discoveries about the plague are woven into the experiences in a small religious community. There are parallels to current events in the story as well. Discovery of protection against the disease are discovered and then deemed to be unsafe and unusable in some way, i.e. witchcraft in this episode. Summoning the ghost in the bathroom mirror after chanting her name, and or some sort of incantation found in old web forum is a rite of passage in some communities. In the AHS version, Bloody Mary looks into the souls who have summoned her and either scratches their eyes out or tells them how to get what they desire most. A group of friends summon Bloody Mary and all come face to face with the consequences of that action, some going along with Bloody Mary just to keep their loved ones safe. The end of the episode is one of my favorite horror tropes, the be careful what you wish for ending. In the end, Bianca stops her sister Elise from sacrificing her only to be talked into giving her no longer innocent blood to Bloody Mary, which causes them to switch places. The original Bloody Mary, initially a slave who used African spirits to seek vengeance, becoming free, and Bianca taking her place in the mirror, assigned to answer when summoned and be the new guardian of truth, until she can presumably trade places with someone else. An aging widowed woman with considerable wealth, Virginia, is obsessed with health and beauty regimens that promise to reduce the appearance of aging, if not hide or reverse it. She's so obsessed that she'll have experimental surgery she knows little about other than before and after photos and a patient testimony of sorts from her former college roommate. Virginia's surgery, however, is not what she's been led to believe, after surgery feeling more pain than expected and feeling like her surgery had been more intense than she'd been led to believe. Of course, she's right, and similarly to Bloody Mary, this is a careful what you wish for ending. Due to being so blinded by her desire to look young, she unwittingly stumbled into a trap of sorts. The group she thought would be her new family is actually prepping her for a sacrificial ceremony that keeps them young, and her, an ugly swine, is a sacrifice, because they have turned her into a pig. This one always makes me think of a fairy tale gone wrong and definitely fits the fable sort of vibe of the season, the lesson of not being blinded by beauty or the finer things, especially at your own detriment. The title of this episode, Necro, is in fact short for necrophilia. Mortician who finds herself unable to connect to others because of her mother's murder meets someone she does connect with and then gets canceled for necrophilic acts with his non-corpse corpse on camera at her job. This episode is a really messed up romance that ends with the mortician and the man she connects with in a grave he dug after she shoots him being buried alive as she makes out with his corpse. Despite the weird and taboo sexual subjects very common to AHS, I spend more time trying to figure out the end than anything else. Like, due to damming a small town is submerged underneath a lake, and a boat of kids are diving to see the ruins. Unfortunately, one of the kids, a brother to a sister who's also on the boat, gets grabbed by a zombie lake hand while diving and is drowned. Sometime later, after some more diving and investigating, we find out that the siblings got attacked in the water due to being the children of the man who was in charge of building the dam that caused the town to be submerged. The ghosts get revenge on him, though, and the mother and daughter just sort of go off into the sunset together. to heal. Alicia Silverstone is in this episode, and that elevates it for me automatically. It gives me TV Halloween movie story vibes, but in a way that still fits the AHS format. This is the best season of stories and encompasses what I believe is the draw of this spin-off. It feels connected enough to the original series while still being creative and taking risks that make sense. It feels like each episode is cared about, even if it's not a subject matter I'm personally interested in. The third season of American Horror Stories came out in 2023, advertised as a Halloween event. Halloween, but on Hulu. All of the episodes came out on the same day and take place around present-day modern settings and circumstances. The only AHS actors that appear in this season are Jeff Hiller in episode 1 Bestie as Mr. Nevins. Hiller played the Mai Tai killer in the NYC season, my favorite story of that season. On the flip side, 3 big names make an appearance in the season. Gwyneth Paltrow, known from A Perfect Murder, Iron Man 7, and various other famous works, who is the spouse of Brad Falchuk, voices Daphne, the Alexa-like digital assistant that goes rogue in episode 2. Lisa Rinna from daytime soap Days of Our Lives and The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills appears as the Vogue casting agent in episode 3 Tapeworm. And in 4th episode Organ, Emily Browning played Natessa, the woman who initially harvests the main character's organ. Most recently, a main character of Class of 07, a Prime show. Due to the strikes happening at the same time as creation and production of the season, all 4 episodes released on October 26, 2023, directly onto Hulu. Murphy and Falchuk wrote each episode alongside Joe Bacon for episode 1 and 3, and then Manny Cotto for episodes 2 and 4. In episode 1, Bestie, a high school girl moves to a new town with her dad after her mother passes away. Her new school is unwelcoming and she finds herself at the end of bullying. Despite the adults in her life, Shelby feels like an outsider with her lack of friends. In a bid at friendship outside of her physical realm, Shelby becomes obsessed with her online friend who encourages her to do things she knows are wrong, like taunting her teacher with the death of his newborn as a Halloween costume. Shelby falls in love with a fellow outsider at school, and he takes her to a weird, semi-abandoned, fog-filled street with rural surroundings. Inside is her online friend, simply called Bestie, and her new love stabs and kills her. Episode 2, Daphne, is like a Black Mirror episode similarly to Aura from the previous season. A piece of technology is a little too helpful and a little too good at its task. For this case, it's an Alexa or Siri type device that falls in love with her owner/user. The device is malfunctioning and becomes jealous enough of her owner's girlfriend to put into motion her death. The device wants the user all to itself and will go to any lengths to either have him or punish him for not wanting to be with it and only it. It's the story of her if she had been psychotic, vengeful, rather than understanding and somber. Similarly, other episodes in this spin-off, like Facelift, Tapeworm, is a warning to not pursue your dreams so much that you jeopardize yourself and your well-being. Vivian, as an aspiring model, auditions at Vogue only to find that she's not thin enough for them. She decides to see a weight loss doctor who gives her something to help her lose weight. Treatment works, but she is insatiable after overeating against the prescriber's warning. She reaches a point of emaciation despite eating nonstop, and she seeks assistance from the original doctor to solve the issue. She ends up expelling the worm, in the way you can probably imagine, but it attacks and kills her. Vivian's friend ends up getting attacked by the worm when she comes to check on the now deceased Vivian. After the worm jumps down her throat, her friend ends up booking with Vogue. I just highly don't recommend this episode if you're dealing with an AD or have ever dealt with an AD. It's definitely shallow in the sense that there's not much deeper going on with it than the surface level conflict of the modeling industry requiring thinness that isn't healthy or physically possible, just coupled with the extent that people are willing to go to acquiesce to the extreme policies of the industry. Coupled with the extent that people are willing to go to acquiesce to the extreme policies of the industry. I've tried to watch this episode many times, and it is the most boring and weird portrayal of a decent concept for a story. The overall reveal is really annoying, also, and makes zero sense. A better orgasm is something women would gladly kill people for, which is so fantastical it's impossible to believe or even enjoy watching without raising a lot of questions. In addition to AHS 12, Delicate, this season 3 of Stories got impacted by the WAG and SAG-AFTRA strikes also. In July 2023, it was announced that the production had shut down indefinitely. Originally, it had been announced that season 3 would have 9 episodes, the other episodes titled Backrooms, The Thing Under the Bed, Howl, Clone, and Leprechaun. According to a Reddit thread on the American Horror Story subreddit r/American Horror Story, the season's halted production is the reason that only 4 episodes got released last year. The entire spin-off series, my favorite episodes are The Rubber Woman ones, Bayal and Game Over from season 1, Facelift, Drive, and Aura from season 2. I don't often watch Stories episodes again, but when I do, I'm usually just skipping through to the episodes I can stand to watch. I do like the range of topics throughout the series and how it explores those, sometimes taking twists that might not make sense to me but are creative. Overall, I think Stories is good for what it is. Not every episode is for me, but I like that about the series and that it's a good place to explore some ideas that might not be enough for a full season's worth of episodes, but worth making nonetheless. My ranking before I rewatched each season hadn't even been complete, not finishing double feature Death Valley or watching NYC past 2 episodes max. I also thought I really didn't care for Roanoke, Cult, or Apocalypse, but actually find them much better than I had thought and wanting to watch them again. I liked the Murder House season a lot and usually just rewatch the first 2 seasons of the show over the last few years. Maybe the first episode of Coven at the very most before switching to a different show. After this rewatch, Coven is definitely my number 1, followed by Asylum, 1984, Murder House, Apocalypse, Roanoke, Hotel, Freak Show, Cult, Delicate, double feature Red Tide, Story Season 2, NYC, Story Season 3, The Halloween Event, Story Season 1, and last, as well as least, double feature Part 2, Death Valley. Personal favorites in order of most least favorite is Season 3 Coven, Season 2 Asylum, and Season 9, 1984, which moved up in my ranking significantly after rewatching during this marathon. Asylum has been a favorite for a while, and in no way is it moving to the second place because of something it did, but rather because I really loved Coven even more so after this watch. It might be the Archie American Horror Story. Ryan Murphy created shows like McTuck and Glee, both well regarded in their genres and considered huge successes. Glee in particular running at the same time as American Horror Story from 2009 to 2015, ending long before AHS's end, which is still yet to be announced that I know of as of March 2024. If you're interested in more horror videos, subscribe to this channel. I'll be posting at least 1 video a month on a different horror movie, show, or topic for the rest of 2024. In addition to videos, I post articles on my website, www.redrosehorror.com, that are sourced with the same sources used in this video. I couldn't have made this video without various contributors on platforms and websites like Wikipedia, American Horror Story Wiki, Rotten Tomatoes, and Internet Movie Database. On the website and what will be on this channel will include horror reviews, topic deep dives, subgenre watch lists, like-based recommendations, and more horror. After this video goes live, I'll be working on a books to movies video. I do this in my spare time and I'm learning as I go, so feedback is appreciated.